Well, President-elect Trump promising sweeping overhauls of U.S. immigration policy, including mass deportations. But sanctuary cities across the country are vowing to fight back. Trump vowing to overhaul immigration, including to carry out those mass deportations. And Republican leaders in Texas say they are primed for their state to be both the model and epicenter as the Trump's new administration readies to crack down on the ongoing border crisis. Joining us now is retired federal agent, former acting ICE director, and now the incoming border czar, Tom Homan. Tom, nice to see you again.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you toured the Texas-Mexico border with Texas Governor Greg Abbott this week, served Thanksgiving meals there to troops. That's a nice thing to do. You said the federal government would take up Texas's offer of land for the mass deportation operation. What's that plan going to look like? How many people, how long would they be held for?
Look, I'm still working on the plan, but the acres they gave us, we'll use it for, incoming processing and departure location. So I haven't got the plan fully baked yet, but that offer is great. It's going to save the taxpayers a lot of money from, acquiring land separate from this. So we'll use that for distribution. We'll use that for logistics. So the plan's still being worked, but I appreciate Governor Abbott's willingness to help us out with that land, because again, it saves the taxpayers a lot of money by doing that.
Yeah, you've talked tough on illegal immigration. You've got the resume to back it up. Will the deportations be at the scale that Trump has expressed, what he promised along the campaign trail, and will military members be used to carry them out?
Well, look, there's a lot of pushback I hear from mass deportation. People saying, well, that's radical, it's racist, it's un-American. It's just ridiculous. At the end of a historic illegal immigration, where millions of people have entered this country illegally. And based on immigration court data over the last 10 years, nearly 9 out of 10 of these people will end up with an order removal because they simply don't qualify for asylum. What they did is commit asylum fraud. So when you have millions of people coming across the border, 9 out of 10 will get an order of removal from an immigration judge. Of course, there has to be an historic deportation operation because we have no other option. If the court order doesn't mean anything, if the judge order doesn't mean anything, then what are we doing? You might as well just shut down the immigration court. You might as well just forget about due process. You might as well just take the border patrol off the border because there's no consequences. If you want to claim asylum, if you want to see a judge, we'll make that possible. But at the end of that, if you order removed, that's what has to happen. Because if it doesn't happen, we're sending a message to the entire world. You can cross the border illegally, which is a crime. You can be released in the United States, either go to court or not show up in court and get an order removal, and we're not going to remove you. The whole world is going to come to this country.
Right. Well, you say you're not just going to turn off the faucet, turn off the fire hose, but carry out these deportations for the criminals first. But if you're an illegal immigrant here, that's breaking the law to begin with. So does that put everybody in the same category, or could it?
I wouldn't say same category. The president's been very clear, so have I, that right out of the gate, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. And we got plenty of them, because if you look at the stats, you compare the Trump administration to the Biden administration, the removal of criminal aliens has decreased 74%. And we know a lot of criminals have come across this border in the last 4 years. So we got a big block of criminal aliens we got to locate and remove from the country. And that's why I've been pushing back on the sanctuary cities and these mayors and governors who are speaking out against it. I cannot believe as an elected mayor or elected governor, you do not want public safety threats out of your community? Well, if you don't, just get out of the way, because ICE will do it for you. But I would think it would be a nonpartisan issue to remove public safety threats out of your community. But getting back to your point, if you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. It's not okay to be in this country illegally. You enter the country illegally, which is a crime. You've been ordered removed by a judge. You got a problem.
When you say get out of the way, ICE will take care of it for you. So we've got the Denver mayor, Mike Johnson, saying they're prepared for the worst. Would it come to you guys getting them out of the way? When you say that, what does that mean exactly?
Well, I've been very clear. If they don't want to help, fine, don't help. I find it incredible you don't want to help remove public safety threats. But if you don't want to help, I've given warning. Do not impede us. Do not knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE authorities, because that is a crime. And we'll prosecute those crimes. When I was an agent many years ago, I prosecuted U.S. citizens for harboring illegal alien in their home, harboring an illegal alien in their place of employment. I got no problem, prosecuting others who want to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. And I'm hoping they don't do that. I'm hoping a lot of this is just rhetoric. Again, when it comes right down to, they don't want ICE in their neighborhoods, but understand this, what their actions are going to result in exactly that. If they would let me in their jails, the sanctuary city jails, we're not even given access. Let me in your jail so I can arrest the bad guy, the guy you already locked in a jail cell. That means less officers in your neighborhood. Because if you don't let me in your jail and you release this guy, the bad guy, we're going to go into the neighborhood and find him with a whole team of people, and we're probably going to find others that weren't even on our radar, and they're going to go too. So more agents in the jail means less agents in your neighborhood. So fighting against ICE, not letting you in jail, is going to give you the exact same results you don't want. So I would think they sit at the table and work with us on this.
Yeah, well, we would welcome Stephen Miller to come on the show, too. Trump's tapped him to be Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and a Homeland Security Advisor. Let's go ahead and take a look at this headline from USA Today. It says, Tom Homan versus Stephen Miller. Who will decide Trump's mass deportation agenda? So I guess Miller has a bit more of an aggressive approach. Which method do you think the administration is going to go with? Yours or his or somewhere in the middle? Are you working together?
Look, I don't believe half the stuff I read in the media because they take things, they've exaggerated things I've said. They don't include things I've actually said. Me and Steve Miller, we're connected at the hip. Steve Miller is a smart guy. He was the architect of many of Trump's first policies in his first administration that were proven effective. It was a game changer. It was the most successful border security plan ever in the history of this nation. So me and Steve Miller, we're connected at the hip. We'll be working side by side, and we're on the same page. I guarantee that. I
imagine you've probably seen this heartbreaking video captured this week of children abandoned at the border. I'm going to let our viewers take a look at that and let you respond.
Venezuela, Mama.
Did you come by yourself? Yes? How old are you? 2 years old?
And there was another little boy as well. That young El Salvador girl was among 60 unaccompanied minors found there along the Texas border crossing. She just had a piece of paper containing her name and a phone number. And then we saw that 10-year-old boy. I'm not sure if we've got video of that, but he was found along the border on Thanksgiving. How are you going to help these vulnerable asylum seekers?
Well, thank God that child's alive. Because of my career, I've held dead children. I've held dying children. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 that were raped by members of the criminal cartel. And that's why that's why securing the border is so important. Securing the border saves lives. So look, 31% of women that make that journey through the cartels get sexually assaulted. Under Joe Biden, you got almost 4,000 illegal aliens have died crossing that border. You got 250,000 Americans have died from fentanyl overdoses. Joe Biden's open border policies are killing Americans in record numbers, they're killing migrants in record numbers. When President Trump had illegal immigration down 83 to 90%, when 90% less people are coming, how many little girls like this weren't left on the border? How many children didn't die crossing that river? How many women weren't sexually assaulted? How many Americans didn't die from fentanyl because the border's secure? How many no-inspected terrorists didn't get in the country? How many women and children weren't sex trafficked to the United States? President Trump's policies were humane. People want to call it inhumane and racist. No, they weren't. His policies saved thousands of lives, and we're going to do it again. Securing the border saves lives. For the people who want to come to this border and claim asylum, you have a right to do that. But we're going to have the Remain in Mexico program in place. You're going to wait in Mexico for that asylum hearing. And when we did that under the Trump administration, after about 2 months, they stopped coming because they knew they had a fraudulent asylum claim. They weren't willing to spend all their money, give it to the criminal cartels just to wait in Mexico. If you're really escaping fear and persecution from your homeland, you will wait in Mexico for your hearing. And if you win your hearing, welcome to the United States. If you don't, we don't have to look for you. Trump's policies were the most effective policies of my career, and I started in 1984 as a Border Patrol agent. We're going to go back to those policies and build upon them and finish the job we started.
What would you say to Americans who are no doubt going to be troubled seeing difficult imagery once these mass deportations start? And how bad is it going to get? I mean, family separations, will that be prevalent?
Well, if you want to see the image, we're going to show the images on the Trump administration. We'll be very transparent on what we're doing. But I guarantee you, the left side media is going to show a mother crying or a child. They'll grab some image. But I want people to know, go talk to the hundreds of angel moms and dads that I've spoken to and heard their stories where they buried their children. It wasn't a matter of separation. They buried their children because their children were killed by an illegal alien. Talk to the little girls I've talked to that were sexually molested by criminal cartels. Talk to the parents of the 250,000 kids, young men and women who died from fentanyl poisoning from a poison China sells to Mexican cartels to push across this border. The Mexican cartels have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world. That's what I'm saying. Secure borders save lives. And we can't secure the border if we don't run this deportation operation. We got to send a message to the whole world. You can come to the greatest nation on earth, But you got to do it legally, not illegally. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. When you overwhelm the system, like they have the last 4 years, it overwhelms the Border Patrol, where most Border Patrol agents are no longer on patrol because we're taking care of this humanitarian crisis. That's when the fentanyl came across that killed 250,000 Americans. That's when the sex trafficking and women went 600%. A secure border saves lives. That's exactly what we're going to do, and we're not going to apologize for it.
And that's another reason that President-elect Trump is saying that there will be tariffs on both our northern border and our southern border if this doesn't get handled by Canada and by Mexico. Now, this week, it looks like there was sort of a case of he said, she said, with Trump and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum reporting very different versions of a phone call that they had last week. Trump saying Mexico would agree to stop illegal immigration through Mexico, and she asserted that she had promised no major policy changes. What's with the different accounts here?
Well, look, I would think that President of Mexico would do her job for the Mexican people. The cartels are running that country. A big part of that Mexican government, Mexican military, are corrupt because the cartels pay them a lot of money. So, you know, they certainly don't want the gravy train to end. But look, bottom line is, it's against the law in Mexico to traffic in women and children, but they've been allowing it for 4 years. It's against the law in Mexico for people from other countries to transit to the country to come to the United States, but they've been allowing it. President Trump's asking them to do the right thing for people. Like I just said, 4,000 migrants have died crossing the U.S.-Mexican border in this administration. Isn't that meaningful to the President of Mexico? And that's not counting the thousands that die in Mexico, the thousands that die in the Darien Gap in Panama. This is about life and death. I would think the President of Mexico would do the right thing for the Mexican people, and that would be secure the border. We can have fair trade, we can have, you know, a great relationship, but you can't let cross-border crime take over either nation. So I'm hoping she'll do the right thing. If she doesn't, I guarantee you, Trump will give consequences to Mexico, like he's threatened before. He'll do it again, and he'll put them in place. Well,
one of the biggest reasons people were saying in the exit polls that they voted for Trump and why there was this red wave is how fed up the American people are with immigration. You've got a big job ahead of you. Retired federal agent, former acting ICE director, and incoming border czar, Tom Homan. Thank you so much for joining us. Please come back. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.